The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
Hi, welcome to the Young American Podcast. I am your host, Joseph Bemister. This is my co-host,
Riley Murphy.
And welcome back. We had a little 2-week break. From now on, it should be every Monday instead of this little gap here. Today, we're going to be talking about adrenochrome. You kind of read a little bit about that last night, so we're not going to get too in-depth about it because we've seen some conflicting reports on it. We're going to be talking about Jorgensen's last tweet and then Pizzagate, along with the other 3 hashtags Facebook has banned.
Classic.
Yeah, you saw that, right?
Yeah, Facebook loves banning things.
It's like their biggest censorship. They censor literally everything and anything they want, to the point where 3 hashtags, if you click on them, you can see them and they're real hashtags, but when you click on them, it says something like protecting the community against community guidelines, and it's just a hashtag. It's Pizzagate, adrenochrome, and pedogate. Because when you associate not really the words in the hashtag, but what's going on with that for some reason.
You're putting yourself into that group.
Yeah, it's
they don't want that out there.
Yeah, they don't really want that out there right now, especially
some of the messages that are being provided within that hashtag.
Yeah. So if you go on Facebook right now, I have it to my personal page, but once we get the Young American Podcast page up, we'll start retweeting, or sorry, not retweeting. We will have a Twitter and a Facebook soon. So
Facebook will be up very shortly.
Probably by the end of the day. Yep. So hopefully by the end of the day, Facebook will be up, and then we'll post some more videos there and show you the specific posts and hashtags we're talking about that are banned. So we're going to get into adrenochrome. Adrenochrome is a drug that essentially, they've said, helps with Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, and dementia, and then some other things too that we read into. We're not sure if it's true or not.
Right. It's I'm not fully up to date on it, but
it's said to be an anti-aging drug associated with a demonic cult.
Yeah, I haven't really been able to form an official opinion on my own.
Well, it's kind of hard because when you Google it, and then we encourage you to Google it because try to click on the right links involved with it, because 99% of them are hey, we're going to put a virus on your phone. It's literally what it is. You click on it and it's hey, you're a winner, or congratulations, you got $1,000 Walmart gift card. So be wary. For some reason, information associated with this is very corrupted. And they said to synthesize it in a way in a lab, but there's a YouTube video you can go out there. I'm not sure if it's informational, so I'm not going to tell you it's real, but apparently it's harvested from young people. And it comes from the blood
extracted from their blood.
Yeah, it's extracted from their blood when they're in extreme fear, which I'm not saying is true in any single way. I have to look into that more about where the origins of adrenochrome came from before we can even talk about that.
And that's why I can't really get too far into that.
Exactly.
I don't really.
Supposedly it comes from, it's a synthesization by way of oxidation of epinephrine, which is what we would normally refer to as adrenaline or something like that. That's where it supposedly started to come from, and that's where the studies started with it in the 50s and 60s.
And JFK, I believe, was the first president to try to ban the drug. Now the FDA just made a ruling on it 4 days ago, I think it was. If you go on their website, that actually, this one of the first things that pops up as well. It says why the FDA is considering banning adrenochrome. It has a lot of side effects apparently to it, and it might help you with the shakes and memory and everything like that, but you're going to get a lot of muscle and tissue damage, just said shorted around it.
Right.
And what's going on with Epstein, which is the other topic, Pizzagate we're talking about. Pizzagate apparently was associated with the adrenochrome. So in some way, they were taking the people involved with Epstein and all that and using the individuals they've taken, right? Is that what I was... That's what was the big thing that came up last night when I was Googling it.
There's the story of, these kids, these facilities.
Yeah, and on Epstein's estate, people were saying they were trying to make adrenochrome. Well, I keep thinking it's adrena something chrome, but it's just adrenochrome. But Pizzagate as well. It's all involved in some way. Those 3 things, pedogate is Pizzagate. They just have now tried to change the wording. So when they first banned Pizzagate, they changed it from Pizzagate to pedogate online because that's what it is. Essentially why it's called Pizzagate is because there were emails of government officials with like billionaires talking about how to deliver pizza, how to catch pizza, how old these pizzas were. And they soon figured out that pizza was a code name for someone who was abducted.
Yep.
And Hillary had emails with Obama that just came out 2 days ago. WikiLeaks last data dump last month. You can find some information, but almost all of it has been taken down. You can find it on Pizzagate. And that just came to light.
Hillary seems to be very heavily involved in that.
Yeah, it seems to be
topic.
The Clintons were involved in that too. There was 3 people. It was the Epstein, Clinton, and then what was the other family that was involved in it? So there was 3 islands apparently, and where they all owned it next to each other. It was Clinton, Epstein, and somebody else. They owned or had properties on these islands.
There's been more and more information coming out in the past few years, but it's been a few years, but there's definitely a lot of interesting items coming out of it.
Yeah, a lot of interesting items,
especially within the WikiLeaks and emails and everything.
Yeah, because you think to yourself, like, this information can't be true. Like, our government's helping us. There's no corruption here. It's in different countries, and then you look, and corruption is just so widespread. It's on every single level. Now, you just don't know how little or bad it is in this case, that there are some government officials where it's supposedly extremely bad.
And the whole Epstein scenario, basically, I feel like it's brought to light how much power some of these people really have, and how it doesn't play off like we don't see that.
How much reach they have. And we really don't know what happened, but Epstein didn't kill himself. Let's just put that out there. I mean, you have 2. He was on suicide watch. Like, he doesn't have any shoelaces, doesn't have any shoes. He can't have any things that they think he can use to self-harm. They take everything away. He had 2 armed guards and video surveillance. Now, the video surveillance is supposed to be on 2 databases, apparently, in 1 facility. So for that video to just disappear means that somebody had to go to 2 different places to delete it. So there's a backup video along with the current video, especially in those federal databases, because it's such sensitive information, because anything can happen in a prison. Now, he also had 2 guards there that saw nothing.
Their cameras are not known as going down, but it does happen. I don't believe it.
So
the whole scenario works out, and it's like,
I remember speaking to a prison guard after Aaron Hernandez. You guys remember Aaron Hernandez,
Yep. Yeah.
football player for the New England Patriots? After he hung himself, I called him and talked to him because he worked previously at the same facility, just because I needed some information and we we're going to go talk about this. And he said, unless the cameras go down, nothing can happen. Nothing can happen. But when the cameras go down, that's when you have to start looking for the suspicious behavior. So even though the cameras have gone down in the past, was other suspicious things happening when the cameras went down?
Right.
Or was it typically a maintenance issue? And if it was a maintenance issue, why didn't you change those out immediately? You need those cameras up in case, for liability reasons. Yeah. So the fact that camera has gone down a couple of times should lead you to believe that other shady things have happened.
And that's a situation that should have gone perfectly. It should have been managed and watched and gone complete smoothly.
And in order for a brain to lose, it's completely go brain dead. So if you die, say, you have 7 minutes until someone can revive you before your brain is completely dead. I think it's 2.5 before you get brain damage. And in that case, they have that amount of time to go and apply CPR and try to save his life. Now, I don't know. I didn't really see anything on them trying to revive him. I believe he came in. He was already there.
I don't think anyone wanted to revive him.
No, I don't think anyone wanted to revive him. Although, they wanted him dead.
Not happening.
They wanted him dead. They didn't want him alive. So, no one was reviving him.
Yeah, it was 99.99999% of the population wanted him alive because they wanted to hear what he said.
Yeah, they wanted to hear what he said.
0.00001.
Well, no, Ghislaine Maxwell being caught in New Hampshire. That's very interesting. Right by us, it's Bradford, right?
Yeah, that took me by surprise.
That took me by surprise because we were up there quite a bit.
Yeah, over by Bradford.
Do you guys have something you want to tell us?
No. No, we go up north a lot for car stuff, and we drive through Bradford, and that we would think that's the quietest place ever. Bradford, quietest place ever. It's just trees. It's like Conway. It's this sweet little town, and one of the biggest criminals and right now in 2020 that they want.
Yeah, come escape to New Hampshire.
Yeah, come escape to New Hampshire, hide in the trees.
Vermont's better. Go over there.
Yeah, the Green Mountains, Don't stay away from the White Mountains.
She apparently traveled all the way from Arizona or Texas, Florida.
Yeah, and then she tried to hide her name on the real estate by having somebody else buy it for her. Mm-hmm. So she definitely was trying to hide, but it was interesting that she got caught here.
What was your first thought when she got caught? Because I know the first thought for a lot of people is, oh, they're going to kill her soon.
Yeah, no, my first thought was, okay, is she going to stay in New Hampshire? Is she going to stay up here in prison? My first thought was, where is she going to go from here?
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was going to go to Boston because it's 2.5 hours away from Bradford.
Right.
But no, they brought her right to New York, like in a matter of hours.
Yeah.
They went, got her, brought her back to New York, which was interesting because that's where Epstein got all his junk from. So, yeah, I wonder, and there was a BBC article that popped up that was wrote on July 11th that said Maxine Glasswell was in coronavirus for ICU. I don't know if it was fake, but I popped up on it and it brought me to a BBC link, right? That's the British Broadcasting Center.
Yes, BBC.
Who was the guy she was associated with being with up here in Bradford?
Oh, he was a real estate...
A lot of connections. And
he was like a real
something going on
estate...
there.
He owns a big real estate company. Apparently was her boss, but he was down in... He's from like the Boston area. He's not from up here in New Hampshire. That just
Right.
happened to be his house. Like he bought it for her. I just can't tell you his name.
Yeah, I can't remember at the moment.
No, not at all. And so we'll go back to Pizzagate too, because there's some information that's leading to there. So Maxine Glasswell, I think now she has tapes of what's going on behind Epstein's doors. She has video evidence, proof, testimonies, flight logs, everything that they want. She has the information access to, which leads you to believe, like, okay, now that Pizzagate just came out after Maxine Glasswell was caught, did she give up that information for it to be, coming to light?
Right. And that's definitely something I was curious about. What's going to come out of her?
Yeah.
What?
With all the new information coming out within the past couple of days, you're like, wait, is this from her? And you can only assume so.
Right. And I mean, she's got to know an unbelievable amount of things.
Ungodly amount.
Yeah,
Like
whether she's going to,
And that also goes to show, like, there is true evil in this world. Like, that is
real
evil.
The name you were looking for was Scott Borgeson.
Yes, Scott Borgensen.
He's a tech CEO. Not entirely sure which tech company it is, but he's got a lot of real estate.
Oh, so he just owned real estate. He's not in like a company for real estate.
No, I think he just owns a lot of real estate here.
Commercial?
It just says he's a Boston-owned tech CEO, Scott Borgeson. And he happened to be in Auckland, New Zealand at the time. So, yeah.
Interesting. So that's who we'll talk about next week. We'll find out more about him.
Yep. We'll definitely jump into that.
Yeah. And what's going on now with Joe Jorgensen's tweet? So we have it up right now. We'll read it to you. Joe Jorgensen said, it is not enough to be passively not racist. We must be actively anti-racist. # Black Lives Matter. # Vote Gold.
What do you think she means by that?
Let's read the follow-up tweet, and from there we'll kind of give our interpretation.
I think she's
on that.
going into like, for example, like I could, be kind of on the sidelines, live my life, say, not be racist,
Yeah.
but not make a difference to actively fight against it.
Well, like if
but
somebody-
also without going overboard with it.
Yeah. Well, like if somebody's being like, if you have a friend who says something racist or whatever, we just kind of like laugh at it, but like in our heads we're like, whatever. Like, why would, like, you don't like that. Like when somebody says something racist while we're at like a car group or whatever, for instance, it doesn't really happen a lot, but every once in a while there's always that one kid that just says something that like should not be
And
said.
I think what she's meaning is to actively stand up and say something.
Yeah, like a lot of people just kind of either shrug it off, laugh it off, like they don't want to make the situation uncomfortable. And in her instance, I think she's encouraging us to be like, no, like tell them that's wrong. And in that case, a lot of the times, like we do, but we just, it depends on the extent.
But a lot of people don't not negatively, they just don't want to make an effort to do that. Not that they don't want to make an effort. They
don't want to make it uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's where
But she's saying make that effort, do that.
Yeah. I think actually, we'll still read it now. It says, do you want to read this one?
She said, is that the whole tweet?
Oh, no.
She said Black Lives Matter.
Oh, so that's the top of the tweet.
Yes.
Okay, I thought that was the back end of the other tweet.
She's trying to clarify. She's saying Black Lives Matter means standing in solidarity with a mourning black community as we fight together to end qualified immunity, police brutality, sentencing disparities, and the war on drugs. Not support of any, quote, organization by that name.
Okay, so in this instance, I think she does not agree with Black Lives Matter. And you can go on Black Lives Matter and literally on their website, you can find, they admit on their website, although it's a little hidden, that all of their donation go to the DNC. Like literally, every single one of their donation dollars does not go to lawyer fees to help Black communities, doesn't help to go into Black programs, doesn't get donated to any other charity or organization that does help. It gets donated to the Democrats and the DNC. Now, there are organizations like, let's say, the NRA, where a lot of that money gets donated to the Republicans. And in that instance, I don't support them. However, in the instance of Black Lives Matter, I support the movement. I do not support the organization. And this last tweet, I think, kind of says that even more for her. Like, she was kind of explaining, like, I don't want qualified immunity for police officers.
Which we can get into.
Which we can get into. We'll get into after the little tweet dialogue.
Tweet session.
Yeah, we try to defer the tweet. Sorry, someone was talking. I was like,
Oliver decided, hey, I'm going to just start yelling in the middle of a show.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. So she also said something about, like, or we'll just move on now at this point. So qualified immunity for police officers. A lot of them, when they commit a crime on the job, as long as it's in the greater good, they can get away with it. They don't have to go to court. They don't have to have any sentencing on it. They just have to talk about it within their superiors. It's like an internal investigation. If they find that there was no true wrongdoing, it's kind of like out the window.
Which I personally think it gives them too much leeway.
Well, on top of that, it's like, if you're really there for the greater good, why would you need qualified immunity?
Right.
Why would you need to be immune from the laws in which you're enforcing if you're really there for the greater good?
Because you're supposed to be following your laws, or our laws.
Granted, you didn't create them. You may not agree with them. However, why would you be breaking them in that case? If you're going to arrest me for the same thing, why can you do it? Like, what makes you better than me? And in the Constitution, it says, we the people. We the people have the power. It's not supposed to be the government. We give the government their power. They are just ensuring our rights aren't violated by anyone else. And in this instance, I think that, like, qualified immunity is just a way for police officers to, in quote, progressively police without any retaliation.
Yeah, there's no fight back at that point.
Isn't an internal investigation kind of an oxymoron, considering we know how they actually go? They're trying to protect their own.
Yeah, like they really are. And
that's what I don't mean that just with police stations. I mean, any corporation does an internal investigation into sexual harassment or whatever it is.
Or like, what was it? Like Exxon and Mobil's. And didn't they do an internal investigation at first themselves for the oil spill, and they ruled themselves no fault, and then the government went in and did independent, or not really, it was like an independent party went in, and a bunch of different independent parties went in and told the government their findings were all very similar to, it was Exxon and Mobil's fault, unlike they said, and then the government had to step in.
Exactly.
And at that point, like, if you're going to have, like, we're in Salem, so I hate to talk about the Salem Police Department because we know some individuals on there, but for instance, they're being looked into for corruption, like a large amount of corruption, and we're in a small town, like we're in New Hampshire in the middle of the woods. We're not a big city. This isn't Minneapolis where people are still getting beat here. Yes, in Salem, people are getting beat. This
has been an ongoing topic for quite some time.
For a very long time in Salem, and it's a small town, and it just goes to show you that it's everywhere, and it's local, and police brutality, or in this case, like qualified immunity, they kind of stretch it out a little bit for themselves. Like,
and a lot of people really don't see it until something major happens and it really comes to light, and then it becomes flooded with everything else you hear about. All of the other pieces of information.
There is qualified immunity for ordinary people as well. Now, it's not in every state, and it's not qualified immunity in the fact like, you can do like a citizen's arrest and not retaliate for it. No. This qualified immunity is in self-defense. And what that qualified immunity means that you are, exempt from having to go in front of a jury or a judge if the use of violence and force was justified by self-defense. That's not in every state. In New Hampshire, we don't have that. Do I think we should have it? I have mixed feelings on that, because you could say it was in self-defense all you want if you set it up the right way.
Yeah, that's
okay. You can do it, all right. And I honestly think that you should go through the process no matter what. If somebody is hurt and somebody's life is taken, you need to go through every single step to figure out why.
I completely
because
agree.
If you decide I'm going to be a crazy person and go out and do something extremely horrible and take somebody's life, you could make it look like whatever you want if that guy's dead. You could say and do whatever you want. It's your side of the story versus a dead dude.
I'm sorry, are we talking about Jeffrey Epstein again?
Yeah. Cough, cough, Maxine Glassbell in 3 weeks when someone just tries to try to kill her.
Yeah, exactly.
How long do we think until she's going to be dead?
What's today? It's July 13th as we record this. I'll give it till July 30th.
I'll give it until August 13th. I'll give it exactly 1 month before she's either in ICU or dead.
Cross off that prison bucket list now.
Yeah. What's the pool on this?
We'll have an update in a month.
Yeah, it's a dead pool. We're going to start. How many people involved in this investigation do we think are going to die?
Oh, boy.
We'll post it to our Facebook.
Right?
Definitely. The Clinton kill board. It's like bingo.
More than we know.
More than we know.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times it goes into independent research and believe it or not, conspiracy theories. Like a lot of people thought like, what was that big, where they were dropping chemicals on St. Louis? What was the name of that project? It was like, we'll figure it out. We're going to pull it up right now. What was the name of it? Oh, the Manhattan Project. A lot of people thought like wasn't true. And that was, building nuclear weapons. And they were like, that's not, when the information was slowly leaking because people were like, oh my God, this weapon's too powerful. A lot of people thought that. And when it came out, people were like, no, that's not true. How can you have a weapon that powerful?
Everything's too powerful now.
Everything's too powerful now. Well, like, and it goes to show like DARPA's a government agency that creates futuristic weapons and is super secretive. You have no clue what they have. Like, no clue. What we have now will come to light in 20 years, and you're going to be like, wow, this just came out. And you're going to figure out, like, no.
Some of these private companies right now have better technologies than the government right now.
Yeah, a lot of them do. Well, because they're working, some of them are working for the government, and then a lot of the times, like the government, they're not even on the government's radar. They're so small, but the people are just so bright-minded. They can do whatever they put their mind to. Essentially, it just takes time. So some of these small tech startups might have something insane that's like completely out of a sci-fi movie. DARPA comes and picks it up or decides to copy the idea, and it's never heard of again until at least they want it to be mainstream.
The operation you were speaking of was called Operation LAC, for large area coverage. That was when they were spraying chemicals. And there was a good research project from the St. Louis Community College that dove into what they were doing and how they were doing it and trying to figure out even why they were doing it. But they were spraying...
What kind of chemicals were they?
Zinc cadmium sulfide. Yeah, you've lost me there. I'm not...
Yeah, yeah, so bad stuff because... Yeah.
All of those sound terrible.
Sound good.
Yeah, it doesn't sound natural. Let's just say that. It's not kosher. Oh, wow. And then also Operation Mockingbird. Like, if you get into that and a lot of these conspiracy theories, people are like, oh, no way. Like, that's not true. But what was there, like a news video? Operation Mockingbird is supposed to be the same... it's called Mockingbird. Everyone's supposed to be pushing the same information in different ways on different cultures, subcultures in America, because everyone knows that, like, what LA likes is not the same thing as what, like, Boston likes. They're two different political spectrums, so you have to communicate to them in different ways. However, if you want to get the same message spread across, you have to figure out how to communicate that same message, except to them. So the CIA was in, like, the 50s and 60s. They started, like, basically trying to control news channels and medias and TV and radio into pushing the same narrative in a different dialogue.
That's pretty much what Operation Mockingbird was. It was to control the information disseminated to the public via the media, specifically news agencies, because news programs were much bigger and more important in the 50s and 60s because you only had 4 channels at the time.
Yeah.
And, if that's coming up at 7 o'clock, that's the big thing that everyone's watching. And then there's also Operation Paperclip, which we know all about, and at this point we've known about since what happened in the late 40s, bringing over all the German Nazi scientists. It was a competition between the global powers who could bring as many of these horribly smart Nazi scientists over to their country for our own gain. Whether it was us or the USSR or China, it's the same thing. Same type of situation.
Yep. And with that too, you have to think of like what was like. Does this have connections to all that evil that's been going on for so long and all of these informations? Like, is this what they were slowly trying to like push for? And I'm not saying that, but I've read a lot into it. People are suggesting that, and it semi-makes sense. But like, sometimes I look at things, I'm like, that makes sense, but it's not true. Like, I might look at it and be like, wow, that was cool, but no. And in this case, I don't know, I'm kind of like that. But
there's a lot of doors being opened up lately.
Yeah, you also, any and every information, just give the benefit of the doubt to, because you have no clue what's real and what's fake. You just have to do your independent research until
The
you can
internet
have
right now
a
is filled with everyone and their opinion, and written in whatever way they want to convey it.
Since 2016,
all over
the
the place.
quality of information has just dropped so much. Like it's so bugged out and it's so misinformed, and no one knows what's true or not now, because apparently now fact checker is being like debunked. Like people are literally going on fact checker and taking a good amount of their information, like 1/3 of their information, and just debunking it and being like, hey, you're not credible anymore. So now people are relying on fact checker for so long. Now no one really knows what's going on.
No one's credible anymore.
Well, that's where it comes in, and it gets scary when things like, going back to the very beginning of the episode, Facebook loves banning things.
Yeah.
YouTube loves banning things.
They monetize
Twitter loves
everything.
banning things.
But at the same
Everything.
time, you guys would probably agree to a certain extent when someone says, oh, I did my research, I watched these YouTube videos. You kind of discount them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the most part, depending on what the topic may be,
Exactly.
like a flat earther or something, whatever it might be, you're like, okay, you got your information from a YouTube video. That's not quality information. But at the same time, they're also banning things, so it makes it seem like, wait, is there something secretive going on here?
Yeah, like
It kind of brings it to light. What is this?
Yeah, and I don't think that Facebook is doing something intentionally secretive with that. They're doing plenty of other intentionally secretive stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But with the banning stuff, I don't think it's coming from a place of knowledge from them that they know that it's definitively not. They just believe that it's misinformation and they don't want it to spread to too many people and be the conduit for it spreading to all these people. I don't think they're trying to be malicious when they're hiding something like Pizzagate because they're involved in it.
yeah.
I think there's something else there.
Yeah, like maybe they just want to censor the info. Like a lot of times, the information's so sensitive, or they don't want people to know about it, or Facebook just doesn't agree with it.
Yeah, I think, companies like Facebook and Twitter, they're looking to protect their own ass.
Yeah.
They're trying to avoid future potential lawsuits, as I think that's really the motivation behind what they're
I feel like
trying
they're always
to
going
do.
back and forth, taking sides with so and so.
Yeah,
Like they
at least-
like to.
at least with Twitter, we know
they're,
what's
they're
happening.
trying to. Yeah, they're trying to save their ass, but they're trying to make everyone happy at the same time.
Which never works.
No,
you can't even make anyone. You could be the perfect human.
Yeah.
You couldn't make anyone happy.
Exactly.
Like, and that goes to show too. If you look,
they'll probably hate you more.
yeah, Joe Jorgensen, she lost a lot of supporters apparently, according to her Twitter comment section.
Based on this tweet.
Yeah, based on the Twitter comment section. But I'm a part of a lot of pages associated with her and her followers, and a good amount of them are, I'd say, maybe 20 to 30 out of a group of 500 people said they were no longer supporting her anymore, which to me is a very small amount. And a lot of them were saying, well, I don't support BLM. I don't think there is racism anymore. And that's just, it's true and it's not true. There's a difference between racism and ignorance. Okay. When you don't know anything about a culture, you might come across as racist. But there are people who truly are just racist because they just don't like different things.
I mean, there's definitely plenty of things me and you have said that we are not racist at all that may have come across to the right person as racist.
Exactly.
But it's like it's not coming across as that through our head.
For us, it's like a question or
right. It could
for
be
us,
anything.
it's like a stereotype. Like it's just ignorance. It's not racism. Like we don't dislike anyone for sexual orientation, race, or age, like anything like that. We're not going to look at little kids and be like, oh, like freaking hate them. Or old people and be like, hate old people. You know what I mean? Or same thing with like black and white people. I'm not going to be like, hey, like that guy's lighter than me. I'm not going to like him. Or that guy's darker than me. I'm not going to like him. Like we're all humans. We all bleed red.
Thank you.
Okay, let's just say like my brother had cancer. He had blood transfusions. I don't know who that blood came from.
And you don't care.
I don't care. I really don't care. They saved his life. I don't care. Black, white, Asian, Indian. Whatever.
Yep.
I don't care. Thank you.
He's here.
That's it. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for your blood. Thank you for being a kind human. That's all I care about. I don't care about what your color is. Like that means nothing to me.
It comes back to what Dr. Martin Luther King said. Content of character.
Exactly.
Color of skin doesn't matter.
No.
You could be the nicest person in the world. You could be the worst person in the world. The color of your skin did not dictate whether you're the nicest person in the world or the most evil person in the world. And when we look at evil and really, truly evil, there's a common theme.
There's a common theme.
I'll let you figure that out. You look at some of the people in the last 150, 200 years who are some of the most evil sons of bitches that have walked this planet. There's a theme there.
Yeah, they're all rich.
That's part of the theme.
They're all wicked rich.
Over the
They all
past
have so
3
much
years.
power. I mean, Charles Manson wasn't rich, but he was evil as fucking hell.
Yeah. Again, he fits into one of those themes that you can see going on.
Yep.
Crazy and white.
Yep. Crazy and white.
Well, we are going to try to get Joe Jorgensen on this podcast.
Whether it's on Skype, phone call, if she ever comes out here for a rally or anything, we might try to get her out here. And next week I will not be here. So we're either going to try to get a guest on for you, or we're going to try to pre-film an episode. So we'll get back to you on that soon. We'll keep you guys updated on our Facebook. So if anyone wants to follow us, we'll be posting that link in our description. Once we get it to you, we'll email it
by the end of the day.
Hopefully, within 2 hours.
Yep.
Thank you guys. See you next week.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.